Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're literally cracking open the vault of blockchain security. We're going to look at the hardcore engineering logic running behind non-Bitcoin networks. Think of it like stepping into this gritty, trust but verify reality. We're talking about a space where billions of dollars move securely across a decentralized, neon-lit digital frontier. And it does all of this without relying on human morality. So we are tearing down the mechanics of networks like Solana and Ethereum to figure out exactly how they achieve consensus, but, without that immense energy waste of traditional mining. Let's get right into it.
Okay, so let's address the ultimate Bitcoin maximalist dilemma head-on. The argument usually goes something like this. Bitcoin is the most secure, battle-tested, absolutely impenetrable cryptographic fortress ever built. And honestly, they're right. But if we already have that perfect decentralized ledger, why on earth are thousands of developers pouring their lives into building other blockchains? Are they just trying to reinvent the wheel here? Or is there maybe a fundamental limitation to Bitcoin's architecture that absolutely requires a completely different approach?
Well, the short answer is we aren't trying to replace Bitcoin's immovable vault. Instead, engineers are building a completely different, high-speed execution engine for the internet capital market, something Bitcoin was literally never designed to handle. Think of Bitcoin as digital granite, right? It's heavy, it's slow, and it's designed for ultimate final settlement. But modern decentralized finance, high-frequency trading, and these massive consumer apps, they need something else entirely. They need high-octane gas. Networks like Solana are built from the ground up to handle thousands of microtransactions every single second, basically powering a real-time global financial system. But here's the catch. To build that high-speed engine, engineers first had to solve a massive vulnerability. Imagine you're pulling off a complex, high-tech heist, but none of the crew members sync their watches. It'd be total chaos, right? Well, that is exactly how traditional blockchains operate. Without a central wall clock, you have distributed nodes spread all over the globe, wasting immense resources and time just communicating back and forth, endlessly arguing about the exact moment a transaction actually happened. This constant chatter just to agree on time, it's the absolute ultimate bottleneck for network speed.
So how do you fix it? Well, this brings us to proof of history. And the absolute most crucial point I need you to take away here is that proof of history is not a consensus mechanism. Not at all. It is a cryptographic stopwatch that pre-synchronizes the network. Solana's engineers had this massive realization. If you could somehow encode time itself into the ledger as data, you completely eliminate the need for nodes to argue. So proof of history timestamps transactions before consensus even begins, creating a verifiable sequence of events. It's essentially like giving every single node operating in the dark a perfectly synced, completely tamper-proof digital clock.
Think of it kind of like a script running on a glowing neon terminal screen. It's constantly forcing data through a sequential hashing process that proves the exact passage of time. So the network runs a continuous, unbroken chain of SHA-256 hashes. And the output of one hash mathematically must become the input for the very next one. Because this process absolutely has to be done sequentially on a single processor core, it creates what's called a verifiable delay function. You can think of it as a mathematical hourglass. You literally can't fake it, and there's no way to speed it up just by throwing more hardware at it. It forces the whole network to march to this precise, mathematically guaranteed beat. And the result of doing this is just wild. By removing that constant argument over time, validators can suddenly process transactions in parallel. That drops latency down to a fraction of a second. To put that into perspective, traditional blockchains like Ethereum take around 12 seconds to confirm a block. Bitcoin, that takes about 10 minutes. But with proof of history acting as that perfectly synchronized ticker, Solana nodes don't wait around. They just stream ordered data continuously. And that results in absolutely blistering block times of roughly 400 milliseconds. I mean, you blink and it's done. Okay, so with the clock ticking perfectly, the actual consensus happens via something called Tower of BFT. This is where validators vote on blocks, and crucially, they are cryptographically locked out if they try to cheat the system. This is where the real security kicks in. Validators are voting on the sequence of blocks proposed during those tiny 400 millisecond windows. And here's the brilliant part. Every single time a validator votes on a specific branch of the blockchain, their lockout time doubles. So it makes it exponentially disastrous for them to suddenly change their mind and try to support a fraudulent alternate chain. Right, so that covers time, but let's dive into the next layer of this cryptographic fortress. We really need to address the deep skepticism out there that proof-of-stake networks are just, centralized honeypots waiting to be exploited. It's a super common critique, and honestly, you've probably thought this yourself at some point.
The idea is, if security is based on staked capital rather than energy-intensive mining, doesn't it just recreate the traditional fiat system where the rich just make all the rules? How do these high-performance execution layers actually prevent a cabal of wealthy nodes from just taking over the entire ledger? Well, we can actually deconstruct this security into very distinct, mathematically enforced layers. And in these layers, malicious actors literally lose their committed capital if they try to bypass the system. First off, validator selection isn't just about who has the biggest bankroll. It utilizes stake-awaited randomness. Then, to reach finality, you require a massive 67% supermajority of honest nodes. But the ultimate deterrent? That's the economic penalty known as slashing. If you attempt to validate two different histories at the same time, like if you're trying to double spend or cheat the network, the protocol doesn't just block you. It automatically burns your stake tokens straight to the ground. And to really grasp the sheer scale of this economic wall, get this. Right now, over 30% of Ethereum's entire total supply is currently staked to secure the network. Over 30%. That isn't just a handful of big players pulling strings. That is a massive, highly decentralized global network of validators locking up their digital oil. They're doing it to earn a yield, sure, but simultaneously they're acting as this giant, impenetrable shield for the entire ecosystem. So, to even attempt to corrupt Ethereum at this point, a malicious actor would need to acquire and risk 33% of that staked capital. We are literally talking about tens of billions of dollars. Just imagine the absolute absurdity of that for a second. You would have to purchase tens of billions of dollars of a highly liquid asset on the open market, which, by the way, would drive the price up astronomically as you're trying to buy it, all just for the protocol to automatically slash and burn your money the very second you try to attack the network. It's basically financial suicide. As the sources highlight when talking about these crypto-economic defenses, this entirely shifts the paradigm. It moves network security away from relying on human morality and instead mathematically guarantees financial ruin for attackers. Think about the traditional tech world for a second. We've always had to just trust these corporate slogans like, "Don't be evil." But in the cypherpunk, crypto-economic reality of proof of stake, the architecture itself ensures that you simply can't be evil, at least not without completely bankrupting yourself in the process. So how do they actually scale? Well, these two secure networks take completely different architectural paths to scale the digital economy. Ethereum acts as digital oil. It focuses on this modular design where Layer 1 is kept for ultimate security and settlement, and it pushes all that high-speed execution out to external Layer 2 rollups. But on the flip side, you have Solana. Solana uses a monolithic architecture. It handles time, execution, and consensus all on one single layer to maximize throughput. It uses something called its sea-level runtime, which is essentially this highly specialized engine designed to execute thousands of smart contracts simultaneously without them crashing into each other. The big takeaway here is that both of these networks are currently undergoing massive institutional hardening. They are actively proving their robust, enterprise-grade execution layers ready for global capital. This isn't just theoretical tech anymore, guys. Solana is deploying the FireDancer validator client to ensure absolute resilience and uninterrupted network uptime. Meanwhile, traditional finance titans like BlackRock are deploying billions into real-world asset tokenization on Ethereum. And massive decentralized physical infrastructure networks like Helium are running smoothly right now on Solana's high-speed rails. It's all happening in real time.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, we really have to ask ourselves, for the internet capital market to truly thrive, do we fundamentally need both the digital granite of Bitcoin and the high-octane engineering of proof of stake? The evidence really suggests that a multi-chain future isn't just likely, it's actually already here. We have the impenetrable vault for an absolute store of value, and we have these high-speed, mathematically enforced execution engines powering the daily global economy. The really interesting question now is, which piece of this architecture is your industry going to rely on tomorrow?